lot of interesting comments there. I was really intrigued by that one comment Bob made that really kind of ties into the talk today about holding the vision of a blue sky for next week's picnic, you know? And that is so true, that we hold the vision for a lot of things. However, we forget one thing, that we've got to manage the obstructions also. So not only do we hold the vision, we have to be aware that there may be obstructions there, like clouds and other real neat things. So remember, it's about not only what we do, it's also what we must not do. So purifying the channel and activating the flow is about intention and action. The theme is open to the divine flow. And so what I'm going to start about is activating it. How do we activate the divine flow? Well, Jesus said it really clearly in Matthew. I like what he said. And this is after he did his thing with his the fig tree. I mean, some of you know the story where it wasn't doing well, so he thought he'd put to rest and zapped it and withered it away. And everybody goes, "Whoa, how did you do that?" Anyhow, he answered them and said, "Verily I say unto you, if you have faith," keep that in mind, "and doubt not." So those are the two criteria that we've got to have to activate this divine flow. First, faith, and doubt not. Ye shall do, not only do this which is done to the fig tree, but also say unto the mountain, be removed, and cast into the sea, and it shall be done. And he says, and here's the key word, and all things. He didn't say some or a few or most. He said all things, whatsoever you ask in prayer, believing, then you receive. So you notice that activating the divine flow comes from asking. That's the start of it. Everything starts with that, because that's what we're doing all the time. And you know, one of the things that people say, well, I'm working in the divine flow all the time. I do meditation, prayer, treatment. I do affirmations and stuff like that. Does anybody think that's activating the divine flow? Of course it is. Yeah, we're in that. However, I'm going to talk about the however today. Okay? How do we make it work? Well, I like one of the things that Dr. Ernest Holmes said in The Science of Mind about the criteria for this. He said the criteria for any man, woman, as to what is right or wrong for him or her is not to be found in someone else's judgment. The criterion is, does the thing I wish to do express more life, more peace to myself, and at the same time harm no one? If it does, it is right. It is not selfish. But if it is done at the expense of anyone, then in such degree as we are making a wrong use of the law. So as long as it doesn't harm anyone, you got to be really careful with this one, because if you decide that you're going to move to the other part of the country, everybody will say, "Oh, that hurts me so much, I'll miss you, blah, blah, how can you do it?" It's not that kind of hurt and not that kind of harm. People have to be responsible for their own things. It's your intention is to do it, and to do it because it doesn't harm anybody else or interfere with their journey unless they wanted to. Okay, so be really clear about that. That's an important thing to do. The other thing that goes on to that Dr. Holmes said is that there are no obstructions for the operation of truth. He said that a mental avenue must be provided through which the law may operate as the law of liberty, if we are to be free. This does not mean that we must please the law, for it is impersonal and neither knows or cares who uses it. Oh my. Nor for what purpose, But because it is impersonal, it is compelled by its very nature to return to the thinker what he thinks into it. The law of mental equivalence must never be overlooked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that so he shall also reap. So, you know, a real simple way of putting it is this way. Anybody do any gardening here? Everybody knows how it works. If you want corn, you take a corn seed and plant corn. You don't expect peas and carrots to come up, do you? No. Okay? So, one must be very careful about the seeds that they plant. Because we can't plant seeds of negativity and expect good things to come. Because it just doesn't work that way. Oh, well, I do all of that and I do everything right, but what about the weeds? I didn't plant them. Where did they come from? Well, there's two ways to look at it. The weeds that you didn't think you planted, but you did. That's like being on that ship in the river in Egypt. You know that ship? River? Denial. Okay, so you could be in denial about it. Also, we have to understand that we live in a thing called race consciousness. That's a collective consciousness of all of us. And whether we like it or not, it operates through us by means of us, good, bad, or indifferent. So we have to be aware about what we take in and digest. If you don't get that, turn the news on. See what you got to be careful of. So that's what we got to do. And we got to be careful of what we ask for because we might get it. We probably will. Anybody ever got anything that they said, well, geez, if I wish I'd known it was going to be like this, I wouldn't have asked. That's what I go a lot of times in the mountains and I get these people, oh, I'm going to go, I'd like to see a bear. I don't take anybody that wants to see a bear. I don't want that in consciousness. And they said, oh, well, I want to see him over off in the distance. Hello, that's not how it works. You want to see bear, how you see it isn't up to you. Be real clear about that. When you got that guy that far from your face, you know what I mean. That's a real experience I had once. I'm going to tell you because you're right. Okay? So be careful what you ask for because you're going to get it. Be very careful. So what are some of the obstructions in the operation of truth? These are the things that we've got to work at, refrain from doing. So you might want to get a little list because this is where you're going to get your experience. I don't know whether there's any of these that are new to you, but number one, you got to manage fear, doubt, worry, negativity, resentment, animosity, oh, here's a big one, self-loathing, revenge, procrastination, skepticism, and self-righteousness. So those are 9 little quickies. Anybody ever have to deal with those on a day-to-day basis? Yeah, a few. Yeah, right. Yeah, they're all there, and that's just a matter of the journey that we're on. That's the challenge. If it was easy, everybody would do it. It's not easy. Is it worth it? It's absolutely worth it. 100%. To be able to learn to manage that, because that limits the impact of all of that stuff that has on us. And of course, as we do that, you don't have to do nothing. The divine flows there already. It just needs to have a clear channel. And we provide that channel by releasing any of that stuff we're harboring or holding on to and not adding to it on a day-to-day basis. Not going out and saying, oh God, I need a new job. I probably won't get it. Or, you know, you get people, they always expect the worst. Well, I always expect the worst, and if it doesn't happen, then I'm not disappointed because I get something of what I want. Holy, I've actually met people that actually do that on an ongoing basis, and you don't have to raise your hand if it's you. Yeah. But think about that one. So those are some of the obstructions to the operation of truth. that we want to cleanse the channel, the divine channel. And now we want to talk about empowering ourselves. And one of the quick little sayings and things that I work with to empower myself is I try to split my mind into two categories. There's that part of me that looks at a situation or a circumstance or people, and it focuses on what I can't do, what I can't have, and what I'm not. Anybody ever been there? And it's a subtle thing that we can do to switch it over to what I can do, what I can have, and what I am. And believe me, I've actually practiced that with separation and children, and it wasn't what I wanted. I never got the way I wanted it, but I took what I can have and what I could have, and I built on it over a period of time, a relationship with one of my children, and did it make a difference? Instead of getting all into the negativity, it made an absolute phenomenal difference in my experience with her and her experience with me over these years. And that's what I had to do. So it's about empowering oneself. Now, another thing here, there's a lot of really good points here and a lot to digest. But when I was going through my transition in the first 11 years in this philosophy, many years ago, I used to get inspiration in the strangest ways from Spirit. I guess I needed it that way. And one time I was wondering why I seem to be doing all the right things, but it's not working. And I had a dream of a wagon train one night. And I'm going along, and this wagon train had big wagon wheels, bigger than normal. And boom, one of them was broke down. One of the spokes in the wagon wheel, there were 7 spokes, and one of the spokes was broken. The wagon can't go because the wheel doesn't work. It's got a broken spoke. Does it matter how good the other 6 spokes are? No, you got a broken spoke. And so what that made me come to realize that there are 7 departments in our life that on a day-to-day basis we have to learn to spend a little bit of time in each. There's the mental, there's the physical, there's the emotional, there's the social, financial, family, and spiritual. And all of our activities in life fit into one of those 7 categories. Does that mean we have to spend an equal amount of time in each? Absolutely not. But we do need to pay attention to each one. We can't just be all spiritual. Or how about social? That's a party. I tried that one too. It was a lot of fun. Everything else suffers when you do that. And so it's spending a little time and care and attention with each one of them on a day-to-day basis. It's not about how much time, it's about doing it. Want another example how that works? We got how many organs in our body? We got 7 organs in our body, like those 7 spokes. And you've been a real health nut and done everything right, except you didn't look after your heart. Does it matter how good the rest of it is? No. Didn't look after it. You die. My buddy, one of my best buddies, he had the best set of teeth you'd ever want to see. And he did that, he took care of him, and he died with the best set of teeth I've ever seen because he didn't take care of the rest of himself. You know the story I'm talking about? So that's very, very important to look into taking care of everything equally. Now, another thing, I want to kind of end on these few little quotes. One of them is, that I come across, failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of success.
Wow.
How do you like that, eh? I got to tell you, somebody called me a master once, because I've been in this 40 years, I know a lot of stuff about that. I know what I told them, and I actually did this, it was true, a couple of times. I said, you know the difference between a master and a beginner? I said, masters failed way more times than a beginner's even tried. I could give you a list if you'd like, but I don't have enough time today or the rest of the weekend. Okay? Another guy I come across, this one was really good, Adam Grant. And this is to think about. This is really interesting. Optimism has a little bearing on health. Avoiding pessimism matters more. They did 61 studies, 221,000 people. Health is predicted more by the absence of pessimism than the presence of optimism. Well-being isn't about expecting the best. It's about making sure that you don't assume the worst. I never looked at it like that. Believe me, I'll be chewing on this one for a while. You'll be hearing about it again. But that's really interesting. It really tweaked me. Another one I come across is to get over the past, you must have to first accept that the past is over. No matter how many times you revisit it, analyze it, regret it, or sweat it, it's over. It can hurt you no more. Okay? So there's just some little tidbits that you can take away from today to work on and contemplate with and really look at, because it is worthwhile, all of these. But one of the most important things, I guess, folks, and I've done this a lot, and I try to talk to it. I do this with counseling with people when they got an issue. And they say they can't find a solution or whatever. And we all get wrapped into an idea. When we talk to somebody, somebody says something and we get a picture or an idea where this is going. Have you ever had that and been so totally wrong that it just blows you away? Always, no matter what you see and perceive with your first notion, don't stop there. Look at other possibilities, because there is always other possibilities. I'll close with these words of wisdom about a father and his 3-year-old daughter. My 3-year-old girl asked me, "Where does poo come from?" And since I was a little uncomfortable, but decided to give her an honest opinion, explanation. So I said, "You just ate breakfast, didn't you?" "Yes," she replied. "Well, the food goes through our tummies and our bodies, take out all the good stuff, and whatever is left comes out of our bums when we go to the toilet, and that's poo." And the little girl, she looks a little perplexed and stared at me in stunned silence for a few seconds and asked, "And Tigger?" Oh. Who and Tigger? I'm sorry about I see. Well, you know what that tells me? That tells me where you were all focused. It certainly wasn't the cartoon. Oh, my goodness. Did I make a point with that? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. How entrenched is something like that in our minds when we go there? I got a good one I use at weddings. I'll spare you today on it too. That just gets people going until they get to the end of it, and it's really lovely. But it's not what they think. It's never what you think personally at first. It can be 100 different things. So we've got to be open and receptive to see things in a different way. And we can come up, I help people come up with 10 ideas of how something could be, and they're all wrong. Because it really doesn't matter what's right. It matters what you walk away with. So remember, walk away with Tigger, and you'll understand poo. As we go forward in life, I know that Tigger and poo are with you, and so it is.